Good evening and welcome to Fettling Flames episode 3. If you can see me, you can hear me, please let me know in the comment section. You're welcome, Favor. Good to have you here. And welcome again. So this is Fettling Flames episode 3. Fettling Flames is a talk show where we kindle the subtle fires that mend you into wholeness. My name is Precious Pascal. It's my pleasure to be your host on Fettling Flames, and I hope that you enjoy our time today. So today we're going to be talking about how to deal with sexual predators. It's off the record. And why do we say off the record? Because many times the things that happen in such circumstances are usually off the record. They are not recorded. They are not kept. They are carefully removed from the public eye. So let's start by understanding who is a sexual predator. We live in a very perverse society presently. The influx of so many inappropriate agenda by the social media and through some other forms have made it so easy to become very, very vulnerable. It's so easy for someone to break into your space, even when you didn't want it, even when you didn't desire it, you didn't call for it. So, unfortunately, these days, there are a lot of predators, a lot of people who are seeking to take advantage, undue advantage. And it is no longer one-sided. Before, it used to be maybe male to female, and on few occasions, female to male. But now it's become a very terrible situation where even the most unsuspecting people, even people of same sex, can become predators as well. So a sexual predator is anybody or someone who is seeking to exploit another person in a sexual or predatory manner. The goal is to manipulate, to control, and to gain a sexual advantage over them, have access to them sexually. And it could be in any form, sometimes in the form of sexual harassment, sexual assault. Sexual harassment is when someone makes an inappropriate sexual comment or move or, advance to a person in a professional environment. And sexual assault can be when a person, does something to offend you or scare you or humiliate another person in a sexual manner. So sexual assault can be verbal, saying things that are sexually inappropriate to a person. It can be physical, when you have instances like rape or unsolicited touch, and it can also be visual, being peered at or being looked at in a way that is very uncomfortable and unconsenting. So these are various forms. There is also pedophilia, where people molest young children. But today, we are addressing sexual predators as it has to do with adults. Because even though it is believed that children are more vulnerable, or younger people who are impressionable, unfortunately, we are also having to deal with adults who are vulnerable as well. Adults who do not have control, over what becomes of them, over how to handle such matters. And it could mean that they tend to fall a prey, to fall a victim to such activities. So, how do we identify a sexual predator? How can you tell that this person is having, motive towards me sexually? Normally, people who are sexual predators, they look very normal. It's not written on their face. They do not carry a banner going about saying, I'm a sexual predator. No. As a matter of fact, they blend very well into the society, but then their minds are perverted, their minds are contaminated, are corrupted with so many things, and their steady thoughts is just how to manipulate and gain control over another. Unfortunately, the world has been invaded by perverse people, wicked people, and a lot of women are falling gullible. These days, we hear stories of young ladies who went visiting so-called boyfriends and they never made it alive. They never came back. They sort of got lost, got missing. Some of them declared dead by the time that they were found, and all such stories. And it is because they didn't know these things. They didn't know the signs. They didn't know how to identify that someone could be thinking evil. They just assumed that, they were loved, they were cared for, they were liked, someone was interested in them, and then they fell into the trap. So, there are signs, there are red flags, there are things that someone will start to do, and it could be a link with you that something is off. This does not always mean that these signs indicate that that person is a predator, but these signs can serve as cues. So when someone starts exhibiting such a sign, especially on a steady note, then it's important that you are more cautious. So the first sign, or the first way that a sexual predator presents themselves is they tend to build trust and dependency. They don't always appear very fierce or fearful, or, very intimidating, not all the time. In fact, most times, most people who are sexual predators act very kind. They act very kind. They are very caring. They portray themselves as one of the nicest people. They come to you, they are very friendly. If they are meeting you in person, they are so nice. They want to help you. If they are online, because they could be online or offline, you could meet them anywhere. They are very, very nice with their words, very endearing. They praise you, they make you feel good. The aim is to gain your trust, to get your attention, to buy your loyalty. At some point, you start to think, oh, this person really cares. Oh, this person They are really mindful of my person, are really kind. Oh, they are always wanting to help me out, and they're always, sometimes they are texting, they're checking on you constantly, you gifts, they're wanting to know, why are you worried, what's the problem. They are being very friendly, and they just want to build that trust, because that trust is one of the things that they tend to leverage on when they want to strike. So in the early phases, they are very, very nice. Gradually, the victim starts to feel that, they have a special bond with this person. Oh, this person is the person who understands me very well. When you are in a sad mood, they want to know, why are you sad? What's making you angry? And you share your details with them. They come across as very dependable. So you relate your problems with them, and sometimes they may seem to proffer solutions, and they create that loyalty. Gradually, the victim starts to feel vulnerable enough to share more details with them, and going forward, this becomes an advantage for such people. So this is one of the ways that they portray themselves, one of their characteristics. Now, another one is that they can be very manipulative. A person who is wanting to take sexually advantage of you, very manipulative. You interact with such a person, and then they seem to find their way around things. They seem to find a way to avoid very important questions, very deep questions. Sometimes they don't want to give you a lot of details about them. They are more interested in details about you. They are wanting to know, what's going on with you, where are you at the time, what are you doing, what's your environment like, and they may say little or nothing about themselves. And even when they do, it could be lies. So, right? They just clearly evade you, that you were telling a lie, that they were telling a lie rather. They start to, they know how to twist information. You heard something they said, and you're like, you said something now. And they're like, no, I didn't say that. And you're saying, but I just heard you. And they're like, no, I didn't. I didn't say any of such thing. I don't remember saying such things. They start to make you look foolish, sometimes confused. Are you sure you heard the right thing? Or maybe you were mistaken, you know? And they, many times, your thinking, the way you think, sometimes they victimize you. They make you feel like you are the one who is hurting them. So something happens, so quickly the person just flips and starts to victimize you, starts to say, you don't care about me, feelings. All of a sudden, you are the reason they are sad. You are always the one at fault. You do not care about them. You are not considerate. We sometimes you hear of scenarios where somebody is practically setting another person up sexually, and they are saying, you don't want to do this because you don't want to help me. Somebody is saying, you don't want to have sexual intimacy with me because you're wicked, you don't want to help me, you're so unkind, you're being unfair, so you want me to remain like this. Those kind of very sexually is very emotionally manipulative words. they use it. And there is some that's like, sorry, I think my something is wrong with the internet, but that's fine. It's okay now. So sometimes I was talking about gaslighting. So it's a form of emotional abuse where the perpetrator, the person who is gaslighting the other person, is making the victim to question their thoughts, their memories, and even their experience. So something happens, and you are very sure that this thing happened, or something was said, and you're very sure that this thing was said. I heard it very clearly. I did hear it. And somebody is saying, that's not true. That's not what was said. In fact, you didn't hear very well. And you're insisting, and they are making you feel like something is wrong with you. And you're saying, something happened. Something really happened here. You know, was sleeping and felt invaded. You felt like someone touched you. You felt like someone, did something inappropriate to you. And then you wake up and you're saying, I felt like something happened. And the person is saying, no, maybe you were dreaming. Maybe it was in your dream. Maybe it's something you saw. Maybe it's a movie you watched, clearly denying what seemed to have happened to you. And the intention is to make you to buy their own version of events. So the abuser or the predator, whoever it is, wants you to buy their own version of events, to believe what they themselves are saying, as opposed to what you might have experienced, what you might have seen, what you might have heard, or what you are sure of that did happen. So a sexual predator can be very manipulative in that regard. Now, another way to identify such a person is that they sexualize conversations. They can't talk in the next, say the first 5 sentences without making sexual comments, sexual innuendos, throwing out words that are sexually suggestive. You're talking with somebody and maybe in the middle of a serious matter, and then all of a sudden they bring up a part of your body. They bring up something about your physical looks that tends to be sexually embarrassing. And there are people who are very good at vulgar words. They know how to use very vulgar words, and they sort of throw you off track when they say those things. They say things that hit you unconsciously. So when they say those things, you lose your guard, you're taken off track. Sometimes those things are deliberate. When they see that you're embarrassed, they may start to apologize, and then you are the one who now turns around and starts to say, oh, no, it's fine, it's okay, there's no problem. But the truth is that disrupting, you are thinking about a thing, and all of a sudden you're thinking, what's going on here? So people who sexualize conversations again and again, sometimes it could be that they have a motive. They are trying to set that person up, their victim up. They are trying to condition their mind to start to accept that such things are normal. They start to accept that, saying such things, it's okay, it's normal. And the more you hear it, the more you accept it, the more you feel like, oh, there's no big deal. Maybe it's just a casual comment, maybe it's just a funny joke, and all of that. And the goal is to water down your guard and also to make you vulnerable. and to be able to gain entrance. Now, what other way can we identify a sexual predator? They violate or they push boundaries. Now, a predator has no respect for boundaries. The word no does not exist in their dictionary. They don't like to be refused. They don't understand the language of refusal. They don't like to be refused. They don't like to be denied. In fact, when they don't get what they are looking for, they become more sexual knowledge of you. That's their goal. They don't have any of your interests at heart. They just want to get you down sexually. They want to violate that person. That's the goal. So many times they tend to break boundaries. It doesn't always happen in the speed of light at once. Sometimes they're very soft. So, every time you meet this person, they are touching you in very funny ways. Sometimes, they just brush sensitive parts of your body and just, touch you in areas that normally someone shouldn't go. Initially, it might start with maybe a pat on the back or maybe a touch in the hand. Growing up, I used to know that there was this way that some men would shake you and you start to feel uncomfortable. Maybe someone in the neighborhood, they shake you and then they refuse to let go. And then they start to scratch your hand. Those kind of things, sometimes they touch you inappropriately, they brush you on your backside, and they claim that it's a mistake. They're like, oh, sorry, it was a mistake. But somehow you can tell that this is not a mistake because it happens again, and then it happens again. For some reason, you just find this person, they are always around you in very uncomfortable manner. They are very up close. They come close to you. They are very close. They make suggestive moves and they claim it's a mistake. If it's on social media, maybe you're chatting with them on social media, on Facebook, on WhatsApp, wherever, then they send you a very suggestive photo. Sometimes they use emojis. Sometimes they use symbols. Sometimes they use words, text. And then, for example, someone just mistakenly sends you a very, very absurd photo, very nauseating picture, maybe a nude, and they send it and maybe they delete it immediately. Or they send it and they pretend like they didn't know what happened. And then you notice it and you are like, what's going on? Is everything okay? And then they're like, oh, I'm sorry, it's a mistake. I didn't mean to send it to you. I meant to send it to someone else. Oh, sorry, I was pressing something in my phone and something happened. They just come up with excuses. But these are, well thought out setup to put you in a place where you become trapped. Or sometimes they suggest, oh, let's play a game that involves you touching part of your body, a game that may involve, oh, taking off your clothes, suggestive things that could end up putting you in dilemma. And all of those things are the things that they do to get you to that place of vulnerability. Now, the other one this is the fifth one. The fifth way you can recognize a predator is that they are always evasive and secretive. They have evasive behavior, they have secretive behavior, because they know that what they want to do is outrightly evil, is bad, and it's not something you do in pride. It's not something you like. A sexual predator is someone who thrives in secrecy. They thrive in secrecy. They love secrecy, and they don't like to be caught. Okay, sometimes you find out that maybe this person is asking you to keep the communication private as possible. Oh, don't let anybody know that we are speaking. Don't let anybody know that we are chatting. Have you told anybody? They're asking you. Sometimes someone is constantly making advances to you in a place of work. In private, they are sending you texts. They are asking you for, a private audience, an intimate audience with them, and you're not giving that chance. They're acting all like they need you. And then in the open, when you are with other people, they pretend like they don't know who you are. They act very serious. They act like, oh, they've never had a chat with you. Then they don't even care about you. You're not that interesting to them, because they don't want other people to dictate that something is going on. They'll ask you to meet them in private, and they'll ask you, don't come with someone, you come alone, and all of that. And sometimes they send you message and they request that you delete it, because they don't want any traces. They don't want no evidence. They don't want any form of traceable evidence. And then there is also the controlling behavior. So people who are sexually perverse, sometimes, many times, can be controlling. Some of them can start to stalk you, follow you, even without your notice. Sometimes they want to know, where are you part time? Where are you going? What are you doing? Oh, I want to come there. They want to visit you when you are alone. If you have a roommate, you're living with somebody, or you're living with your parents, the moment you say somebody is around, or you have people with you, they won't show up. But if you just mention that you are alone in a place, they are very much ready to show up, because that's where they want to take advantage. They love isolated places, because it will give them room to get what they are looking for. And part of what such people do is to try as much as possible to keep you away from anyone who has capacity to protect you, anyone who has capacity to shield you from harm. They may show dislike for a family member, a friend, someone who is always being suspicious of them, who is not very comfortable with their moves around you, with their interaction with you. They would encourage you to cut off with that person. They will encourage you to keep away from your friends that are, suspecting that something could be going on. Sometimes if there are people who have more authority over you, they might take away certain access. Because anybody could be a sexual predator. It's not always an outsider. In fact, many times people who have been sexually preyed on were preyed on by people who knew them very well. People within close range, sometimes an uncle, a cousin, even a father, somebody close, a neighbor, a well-trusted person, a church member, sometimes someone who is well respected, revered. It could be anybody. And such people, would not want to be easily detected. So they would demonstrate hatred for anyone that is being protective, because they just want a sneak peek of the activity. All they desire is for their selfish gain, basically. So a sexual predator is someone that every time you stay around them, you sort of feel powerless. You feel afraid. Sometimes you can't place it, but you just find out that you feel afraid. You don't feel comfortable. You know, our senses help us to dictate our environment. Sometimes you are in a place and you just don't feel right. Many times it could be that your instincts are right, because your body has the way of protecting you. And that's why if something doesn't feel right, your body will even react, even though at the time you're not able to place the reason why you're feeling the way you're feeling. So if you notice that maybe you're staying around somebody, could be a person of the opposite sex. Sometimes it's possible that it could be someone of same sex, but every time you're around this person, you're just unusually uncomfortable. You feel scared, you feel afraid, you feel confused, you feel unsure. Sometimes they make you feel less of yourself. They talk down degradingly on you. They want to pull down your confidence. They say things like you're nothing without them. Sometimes they outrightly threaten you. If you talk about this outside, they're going to deal with you. They may use something against you. All of these are things that such people tend to capitalize on. Now, let's talk about how to manage such situation. How do you deal with a sexual predator? How do you escape? How do you, run out of that place? Supposing you find yourself in a place where you are trapped, what do you do? But first of all, before you find yourself in that kind of place, there might have been things that you didn't take note of before you found yourself there. And the first thing I want to talk about is boundaries. Now, boundaries are a big deal, because your boundaries are the things that protect you. Now, if you do not have anything, any rules that protect you as a person, if you are a female, especially as a female, you don't have any guidelines that protect you in case something goes wrong. The truth is that you might likely end up finding yourself in spaces where you feel trapped, because there are no rules. There's something the Bible says that if you break the hedge, the serpent will bite. So there is always a serpent out there waiting to bite. And imagine if your hedge is constantly broken. So what that means is that there is always an hedge. You should always have an hedge around you. Spiritual hedge, emotional hedges that are protecting you. And that's why boundaries are important. Now, as a lady, there are certain places you should not be, except you are that kind of person. I mean, there are people who do not care, and they can be anywhere at any time. They can be in clubs in the midnight. They can be in very noisy places that people are going crazy. They can be in such environment. Then that's their choice, and whatever that comes out of it, they take. But for somebody, a woman who wants to protect herself, who knows that she has something to guard, there are places you should not be. There are times you should not be outside. As a woman, a young lady, married, sometimes unmarried, sometimes even married, you do not have any business being out and about at midnight, 12 a.m., 1 a.m. Somebody is asking you to come and take something. Why? Why? What is the reason why you should be stepping out at that time? And to make matters worse, you are stepping out alone. You're going on your own. Nothing, just, carefree. Carefree, like Dinah, the daughter of Jacob. She just got up, went to go and see the daughters of the land. She didn't tell anybody where she was going. She just off and she went. And no wonder what happened to her happened. So you have no business being at certain places. You have no business being in certain. There are people who enjoy the company of men, of males, as females. When you talk to them, they just be like, me, I flow more with guys. I like to be in the company of guys. They are more understanding. And you gist with them, you laugh with them. Dear sister, you are setting yourself up. You cannot be in such an environment and not expect that something doesn't go wrong. By being in such a place, you have clearly set yourself up for something. You are in a place all of a sudden, whether it was by design or by mistake, you find yourself in a space and there are like 6, 7 young men, guys, and you're the only girl there. And you are still very comfortable, laughing, chatting. That means you do not have boundaries, and it doesn't come to your consciousness. Now, another thing that you need, we're talking about things you need even before you find yourself in this kind of space. You need confidence. See, a young woman who is not confident will fall into so many traps. Being able to say no, being able to stand up for yourself is not pride. It's not pride. It is self-preservation. It is being able to say, I know who I am. I value myself. I value my body. And I cannot be treated with such, casualty. Being able to speak up for yourself. Many people tend to think that being shy, being timid is something to be celebrated. You take pride in it. Oh, I'm shy, I don't know how to talk, and you're just very coy. Shyness is not a fruit of the spirit. Shyness is not a thing to be proud about because it makes you vulnerable. It makes it easy for someone to take advantage of you, to intercept your emotions. That's the truth. So you cannot afford to be shy. If you are a person who is struggling with your confidence, somebody just shouts at you and then you close your mouth and you don't speak again. Someone is harassing you sexually and they are talking down on you, and you don't have a voice to speak back, for you to resist them or refuse what they are saying or confront them. I'm not saying fight them, but to insist on how you want to be spoken to. You cannot say, excuse me, I don't like the way you talk to me. Excuse me, I don't like the way you are looking at me. Is there something wrong? Being able to speak up for yourself, really. If you are waiting for when somebody will come and save you, somebody that will come and say, hey, stop harassing that lady. Well, it's not every time that there will be somebody to speak for you. If you find yourself in an enclosure where it is just you and this perverse person and you cannot speak, you are in trouble. Sometimes in such a situation, silence equals consent. If you do not speak, the person will assume that maybe you are happy with what is going on. Someone is touching you in places that you do not appreciate, in ways you do not accept, and you cannot tell that person off. You cannot say, please, can you stop this? Then you will set yourself up for trouble. The day that the person wants to now do the greater harm and you try to speak, they will say, but I've been doing it all along and you have never shut me down. You have never, pretended like you've never acted like you didn't like it. All of a sudden, you're fighting me. So that confidence needs to be there. Now, you need values. You need values. You need values. You need things that guide your life. You need things that you believe in. There are people who believe that I can be so friendly with everybody. I can collect gifts from anybody. You're working in a place of work and somebody is consistently, say a man, as a lady, a man is constantly buying you gifts, buying you food, buying you lunch every time. You're just collecting and eating. For you, it is flex. You are taking food, you're eating, you're enjoying. Today they buy you bracelet, you collect. My sister, you are setting yourself up for problem. You are putting yourself in a difficult position, because there's something the scripture says that gifts blind the eye. Many times young women just collect gifts openly and they think that it is normal. They think that it's okay. But you did not ask me for anything in return and you collected. Well done. The day they will ask you for the thing in return, you cannot say no, because you've been collecting things. And many times, a lot of people do not know that when a man is giving you something, in many occasions, he always wants something in return. If not now, later. It's a way of getting into your heart. It's a way of appealing to your senses. It's a way of getting to soften your resolve. Because the day he will ask you for something and you say no, it will not look as if you are the wicked person. It will not look as if you are being unkind. After all the things that he has done for you, then you now want to say no, you now want to refuse. And that means that you have set yourself up for problem. So you must question things. Why is someone constantly giving you gift? Why is he being extraordinarily nice? Why is somebody being particular about you in a place where there are several other people and you're getting some form of attention that you should be questioning? But because you like the attention, you're not questioning it. You're just accepting it. And for you, you're happy that you're making other people jealous. you're wrong. You're wrong because it could be that you have been singled out for a cause, and that could be an unjust cause. So you need these things. You need accountability. So we've mentioned boundaries, values, accountability. We've mentioned confidence. Now accountability. You need accountability. We are in a dangerous world. You cannot claim that you can take care of yourself. You cannot claim that you can protect yourself. If you are stepping out, you're going out, you must tell somebody, this is where I'm going. If you're living with your parents, let them know this is where I'm going, and don't be shady about it. Don't be secretive about it. The problem is when you become secretive and then something bad happens, something unexpected happens, and you cannot quickly reach out because you know you already told the lie. You must be accountable. Have a friend, and not just anyhow friend, a friend that you know that is wise. It's not someone that is stupid or someone that is foolish or someone that cannot take things seriously. Someone that has that value, that has boundaries like you as well. Let them know. If it's a place that you can go with them, you go with them. If you can't go with them, let them know this is where I'm going. Some time ago, we heard the story of a young lady who was, murdered in cold blood. It's not one, it's not two, but I think this particular one was most likely the most recent in recent times. And what happened? She was invited, somebody invited her to come to a place for the weekend. And she left her parents' home and went to this man's house for the weekend. Somebody she did not know, somebody she just met online. She met this person online and they have been chatting for a while. And then she carried her bag and went to this person's house. She didn't tell anybody where she was going, why she was going. All they knew was that after a couple of days, nobody heard from her, nobody saw her. And in the course of searching for her, her dead body, decapitated and dismembered, was found in a man's house. How do you explain such a thing? Imagine if this girl told somebody where she was going. Imagine if she had a friend. These days, with technology, there are things you can activate. You're going out, you give somebody your GPS, give somebody your GPS to track you where you are per time. Your parents, your elderly siblings that can watch out for you, your mentor, someone that you trust. Oh, I'm going to this place. I've never been there. I don't know what it looks like. Please, can you keep track of me? They can know where you are per time. And if there is a problem, you can signal them and say, this is where I am. Can you come and pick me? It has literally saved some people's life because they were in such a dilemma and all they did was to send off a signal. Oh, I'm in so place. Something is not right. Please come and pick me. And that was how they were rescued. But for some people, they were unassuming. They were gullible. You just believe somebody meets you online. They tell you how they love you, how they care about you, how you are this, you are everything, and all of that. And then they invite you to a place. Sometimes they will even send taxi to come and collect the person. And then they carry you to an unknown destination. And that's how someone is violated for something that could have been avoided. So you need accountability. You need to find a safety tribe. Now, quickly, let's intertwine that with what you can do if you are in that situation. How do you manage it? The first thing I want to talk about is alertness, being alert. There is something called situational awareness. Situational awareness is being aware of your environment, being aware of where you are per time. You are in a place, what is happening there, what's going on, because sometimes these people also connive with other people in what they do. So what is happening where you are? What's going on? Are there suspicious moves going on around you? If you are in a place where you don't know anybody, you should be suspicious. Suspect everybody, suspect every move. Don't be somewhere and just continue scrolling on your phone and forget yourself. Don't be in a place and just be absent-minded. Be conscious of what is happening around you. You're walking on the street, be conscious of who is following you behind. Be conscious of who is walking beside you. Be conscious of, so many things. Eyes on the ground. Eyes on the ground. Suddenly you are in an office, and then you find yourself alone with this man. There were people there. Before you know it, all the people had left, and then you are alone with this man. And maybe someone you know, and they've been wanting something, they've been making funny advances, and all of a sudden you're alone. Your mind should be able to trigger you that anything can happen here, and you cannot let down your guard, right? So we've talked about situational awareness. What about self-awareness? Be self-aware. We've talked about you being conscious in yourself, right? Self-awareness is, how am I feeling? Do I feel like everything is okay? What is my body telling me? If you feel uncomfortable for any reason in a particular environment, you go to somebody's house, you are not comfortable, you ask them and they're like, they are the only ones alone. Please, do not ignore your feelings. Do not ignore the signals from your body. Do not ignore your suspicions. Do not ignore the things that sometimes you be like, one mind told me. That one mind that told you, don't ignore it, because it could be your saving grace. Sometimes you might have a prompt in your mind. Something is saying, put your phone on record. Put your phone on record. Just record. Send a message to your sister. Send a message to your mom. Send a message. Maybe you're in a place, you're suddenly feeling afraid. You're suddenly feeling like you're being powerless here. You're losing your strength. Send a message. Be self-aware. Don't ignore feelings. Then let's talk about emotions control. If you are in a place and you are already trapped, you're already confined, you find out that you're with somebody and this person has a very bad intention. Say you get into a place, a house, a room, an office, wherever, and all of a sudden, for some reason, the door has been locked and it's just you and this man or these men or these people, and there is no reason why the door should be locked. Before they used to say, start screaming, start shouting. But when you have already stepped into the place and the door has already been locked, do you start shouting there? If you shout, who will open the door? What if you are in an estate? What if you are in a building where the doors are automatic doors and they were locked by the computer system? What do you do? When you panic, you make yourself more vulnerable. When you panic, the predator feels more empowered. Feels like they have a lot of strength and edge over you. They feel like they are now the one in control of the moment. You must learn to show bravery even in scary situations. There will be times where you will need to act strong, even though you know that in your heart there is fear. First of all, your consciousness of God should make you feel that I am safe and secure. But there could be very tangible reasons why you could be afraid. You know, in the story of Joseph and Potiphar's wife, do you know that Potiphar's wife was a predator? She was constantly putting Joseph under pressure. And imagine, Joseph was a young boy, 70 years old, 18 years old, and he was a slave. There was nobody that could have helped him. There was nobody that could have saved him. But he, imagine that he started shouting. Okay, in his case, he couldn't even because the woman was the person who started shouting and making it look like he was the one trying to rape her. Meanwhile, she was the one. Potiphar's wife was the woman trying to rape him. Now, what did Joseph do in that instance? He knew that if I start shouting here, they will only catch me and beat me, and I will suffer. He ran for his life. He could at least, he found an exit route and ran. So when you know are in such a circumstance, there might be need to buy time. You have to think intelligently. You have to think intelligently. You have to apply wisdom. There is something called wisdom. Pray as you are there. You start to pray. God, give me wisdom. Tell me what to say and all of that. If you are able to reach a weapon, maybe that might help. But what if there is no access to weapon? What if there is no access to weapon? I've been in a circumstance where I have had to pick the knife. Like what I saw close to me was a knife. And I picked it up. And I would not have been able to use that knife. But that was my defense in the moment. And it helped because it was able to scare away, right? Scare away the person. But what if there was no knife? What could have happened? So sometimes you might need to find a way to calm the person down, maybe even, pretend like you're cooperating while you're buying time. Your phone is there, you're sending a message, you're doing, you must, that's where you know that if you shout, there is no rescue for you. Now let's go quickly, our time is almost up. Then let's talk about vigilance. Exit routes. When you enter a place, the first thing you must think is, where is the exit route of this place? If something should happen now, I came to give this person something, I came to visit, I am in this house. If something should go wrong, how will I escape? How will I escape? If you enter an office of somebody that you know that could potentially be a threat, or you are conscious, you enter. You don't just enter the office and lose yourself. Sometimes you go and sit inside. Sometimes if there is a chair very close to the door, please sit on the chair close to the door. You enter an office of a man that you know that he has promiscuous tendencies, sexual tendencies. You've heard rumors, maybe a boss, somebody of a high authority. You enter that office, stay near the door. Sometimes even decline to sit. Stand by the corner so that you can easily escape if something should go wrong. Right? You must learn to be proactive. As you're walking, you're conscious someone is following you. You may need to change your route. You are going to south, but you notice that somebody is following you. Please change your route and start going. If you're find the nearest, open place, public place, get in there. If you can talk to someone that, looks responsible and tell them, I feel like someone is following me, you must think in such a circumstance. You must be able to read the room. You must be able to know when to run. You must be able to know when not to. You must be able to know when to shout and when not to. You must be able to say no, but there are times when your no will not be enough. That's the truth. There are times when no will not be enough. So in that moment, you will need to think fast, because predators don't understand no. They don't understand no. So we've spoken about, a lot of things, and our time is fast spent. But I would say, please don't act foolish. Oh, I'm a virgin. I am innocent. I don't know. Virginity without strategy is stupidity and foolishness. You can be a virgin, but you can be a foolish virgin. You're a virgin, you don't have wisdom, you don't know how to navigate, you will fall a prey. You must apply digital restraint, digital restraint, digital knowledge. So being digitally literate is different from being digitally restrained. Some people are online, you're just chatting, they ask you to send picture, you send. They ask you to send address, you send. Everything they ask you, you send. Please be careful. Be careful. Now, one of the things that you be conscious of is what you put online. Don't put up things that will set you up or give you out. You're taking a picture in front of your house. Be careful not to take a picture that describes an easy route to your house, or you tell a story telling you an easy route to your house, to you where you're living, where you're staying, your house address, your present current address, all those things. Post your university name, post your university hostel, post your room number, post your phone number, post everything. You must be conscious. You must be conscious. So there are also other times where you will need to politely turn down offers. Now, you will need to be assertive. Assertive. If you say no, insist on no. Don't say no today and tomorrow you say yes. Tomorrow you be like, okay. No matter how somebody pressures you, nobody has a right. Nobody should have access to your body, except, of course, you give your consent. No matter. And, sometimes we are afraid. Hey, if I do it, I will lose my job. Oh, if I do it, I will do this. My life will be at stake, and all those things. In such a case, it's not every time that obedience should be demanded, that obedience should be, should be expressed. So, not every situation requires obedience. I'll end with the story of Bathsheba. Bathsheba was, I don't know the word to use, but she was violated by King David. And I was, what if this woman had said no? Maybe if she had said no, the fear could be, oh, King David will punish me, because in those days you don't say no to a king. But somewhere in my heart, I tend to think that if Bathsheba said no, it might have helped David, though. It might have called back his consciousness. But she didn't. She was afraid of so many things, I guess. And it led to all the numerous trouble that happened. I'm not blaming her, not blaming Bathsheba. But, we're just thinking in retrospect, like, what if this happened? Giving perspective, what if this had happened? What if she didn't, accept? What if Tamar had questioned, the instruction that was told to her to go to Amnon's house, cooking food, and then after she had cooked the food, Amnon insisted that all the servants, everybody should go out. Amnon insisted everybody should go out. What if at that point Tamar said, no, I don't think this is right. and she insisted that someone must be present, or insist that she would have to go to, or otherwise someone will need to be with her. These things happened because there was obedience in quotes, but unfortunately it led these people into very difficult circumstances. So we've taken quite a number of time talking about this today, and we cannot exhaust all of this topic today, but I hope that the little that we've discussed, that we have learned, and it will be able to help you to navigate the world of predators. Stay safe, stay sane, stay wise, stay vigilant. And that's where we come to the end of Fettling Flames for today. Thank you for joining me. I really, really do appreciate your presence. Have a nice evening and goodbye.